Hello and welcome to episode 1 of Generations Behind. I am your host, Craig's Game Room, on the channel Craig's Game Room, but I have two other lovely fellows here with me today. To my, I believe on the screen it'll be left or right, I'm not sure. It's always, reverse, but I have our good pal, Daily Beating. Hello, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm the good pal Daily Beating. I met Craig and Tyler through mutual friend. Cool guys, talked about games with, and I'm really happy to be here for this first episode for Generations Behind.
Yeah, and we're super glad to have you too. And right below us is our good friend, Tyler Haight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, bud?
All right, I'm the good friend Tyler Haight. Met Craig actually through his YouTube channel,
That's true.
all about the Vita, which he's almost done with. So, I'm excited to talk retro games, play more retro games, and have a good time.
Yeah. So we've all collectively met in kind of unconventional ways, which is fun and interesting through YouTube and different things. Usually people don't make friends that way, which is kind of fun. But obviously we're all big fans of video games. In a lot of we are all very into a lot of very old games, whether it be our history with them, just our fascination with old stuff. We love to collect games. All of us are game collectors. We all try to beat our endless backlogs and just try to keep up with all the old classics that we miss. So I think this show, at least for me personally, is going to be a good way to hold myself accountable to go back and play a lot of these old games that I've always
For
wanted
sure.
to, because we want the focus to be on old stuff. We might have a slip in here and there about if we're playing something modern, but we aren't going to try to go too deep on anything modern. We're going to try to keep it to older generation stuff.
Sure. I just want to caveat, I'm a game collector in training.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on building up the collection, but I've gotten the itch and I've started buying more
Dude,
retro stuff. So
it is like a disease. Once you start buying games, you just feel like every time you see something that's like before a
yeah,
certain year for a certain console, you're like, man, that looked great on my shelf. I could use that.
for sure.
Yep. And then you end up running out of space.
Yes, I know. Your background puts both me and Zach to shame, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Your background just looks beautiful. So you got all
it's
those
pretty
beautiful
awesome.
posters. You have that nice '90s looking wood on your walls. It's just a good aesthetic. So
Keeping it
and
retro.
yeah, so one thing we also think we should probably define, what is retro? So this is obviously a hot topic and a hot debate for people, especially our age, that are in denial of getting older. Because I personally, I even think you could make the argument for 360, PS3, Wii stuff now, but we decided not to do that because, by the end of those consoles' lifespans, you're getting into the 2010s, and that's a little bit too close to where we are now in terms of the idea of retro games and stuff. So we all talked and kind of agreed, the generation of GameCube, PS2, Xbox, probably the good console cutoff. PC games, that's kind of a wild west no matter you look at anything to do with PC. So, probably mid 2000s ish is where we want to cut that off. And with handhelds, we decided Game Boy Advance is probably a good cutoff, but it's a little hard because there's a lot of DS and PSP since those started in the early 2000s as well. So we have a bit of leeway for the PSP and the DS, but we're going to try to keep that to a bit more of a minimum. But luckily for you, Tyler, I think the N gauge is still in the conversation
Let's go.
Engage.
Best system of all time.
as the one N
Although I
gauge,
still need one to play it.
the one N gauge fan out there, number one N gauge fan, Tyler Haight. And
You already
we
know.
also decided something that should be an exception to the rule is modern retro games. For example, Zach, we know you love Kiwi 64. That is a modern game, but is made very much in the spirit of the N64 and just games of that time and era. It looks like it. It feels like it. It has a lot of the similar design philosophies. So we want to make
Yep.
exceptions for games like that as well.
Yeah, the indie space really does have, a lot of people who grew up playing these games like are now making their own versions of them. So we're getting a lot of like modern indie games nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, modern retro games. Sorry, nowadays. Because I mean, with the pixel artwork, it's like a little easier, I would say to make a game with that. So you see a lot of early devs making games with a lot of retro inspiration, but still have like the modern conveniences. You brought up Super Kiwi 64, and just real quick note, I saw a tweet today. There's going to be one more update for that game. They're going to add N64 controller support
That's
to
awesome.
like make it
That's
full
great.
on like an N64 platformer.
I love
So
it. And for those
yep,
of you out there have not played Kiwi 64, you have to play it. It's so good. It's like an hour
it's like
long.
$2 too.
Exactly. It's
So
dirt cheap. It's super fun, super creative. Like, cannot recommend it enough. It's so fun.
yes, it's a lot of fun.
So yeah, and like I said, we all love retro games. So this is just going to be a good time for us to just talk about old shit that we really enjoy. So hope you will all stick around for the journey. Growing pains and all. This being episode 1 and whatnot. So, I guess we could start out. Well, first, I guess I would like to go. The topic of the episode is going to be us outing ourselves as fake gamers. We're not going to talk about that till the end, but this episode, to discredit us right away, thought it'd be fun to do a bit of a backlog of shame episode. So
Yeah,
we will have timestamps. We're going to do our best to make those accurate as possible. So if you do want to just skip to the topic at hand, you could go ahead and do that. But our usual structure of how we decide we would like to do the show is we are going to talk about what we've been playing. Since we're all into collecting games, we were going to maybe do a recent game pickup if we want to show, or if we have acquired any games in between episodes for the collection, and then we will go ahead and get into the topic of the show. So, to start out with what we've been playing, Tyler, why don't you go ahead and show us what you've been playing?
Me? All right. So what I've been playing recently, well, first off, on the modern side, too much PlayStation VR 2. My friend recently got one, so we've been checking out a whole lot of games: Creed, Star Wars, whole bunch of Ghostbusters, whole bunch of different games. So I'm spending too much time on that, honestly. So hopefully I can get back into the retro stuff lately. But one retro game I have been playing was, which didn't take too long, Floating Runner: Quest for the Seven Crystals.
I love that
It
cover.
was a pretty. The cover's great. Wouldn't say the game's that great. Um, so takes like an hour to beat. There is no real cutscenes in the game. There's no real story. You and it's like a top-down tank controls kind of game. So you, it seems like you get different weapons just from finding them in random chests, but it seems like it's all random. And it even seems like the level selection you go through is random. But I mean, the first level and the last level are all the same. So overall, not that great. I wouldn't recommend it.
what is it, like a shooter? Like what is like?
Yeah, it's like you pretty much have a gun. You just go around, enemies running at you. You shoot them. Shooter,
Classic.
adventure, kind of. Yeah,
Sure.
platforming. Which the platforming is a little weird too, because it doesn't tell you anything about the controls. And there's some jumps where you can only make it if you run, and they never told you you can run. So I was like stuck on this lava level. I'm like, I can't make this jump. I couldn't do it. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, it's a game thing. The game doesn't tell you is you can run. So yeah, once I found that out, I was able to get through it. But
In defense
yeah,
of the game, it is called Floating Runner.
That is
all right,
true.
you got a point there. You got a
So there
point there.
might be a run button.
Yeah, Floating
Other
Walker
than
wasn't
that,
as well received, so they just
It's prequel.
yeah, floating.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty neat. It's not something I would go back to, but
Mhm.
and then other than that, working my way through Rebirth. Hopefully, got to finish that soon, so I could stop hearing it from Daily Beating. Yeah,
I gotta keep the pressure on. Can't
Oh,
have you beating it in 6 months like you did with the remake. So
I know. I mean, it's
it'll
long, but
be
it's not that long.
I'm
fine.
So
doing it for your own sake. I don't want you to get spoiled.
that's
So
true. You don't want to get
This
spoiled
is
for
true.
Rebirth.
This is true.
Even
Since
if you
both of these
played the
guys finished it
original.
already.
Yeah, even if you have played the original 7, one of my all-time favorite games. I deeply adore 7. You still want to go spoiler-free into Rebirth because it's still full of fun surprises for new and old fans of Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. And then other than that, next game I think I'm going to be starting. I have well, you can't really see it. It's over there. Is Magic Penguin: The Quest for Color on the PS2. I kind of
Ooh,
wanted to get into that, so I might check that out.
never heard
But
of
that's
that.
all I've been playing.
Good stuff. All
Yeah.
right, Zach, why don't you go ahead and tell us about what you're playing?
So yeah, on the modern side, like Tyler mentioned, I'm still kind of playing Rebirth. I finished it. I'm just cleaning up some end game slash post game stuff. Trying to get all the different like high scores and stuff. Not sure if I want to do all of that right now. If I want to drop some stuff and come back because I feel like I could just play that game for another 50 hours if I really wanted to.
Definitely.
I think it's time for me to kind of put it to the side and get back to some other stuff. Um, been dabbling with a Unicorn Overlord as well on the Switch. That game kind of got cannibalized by Rebirth last month because I played it for like 100 hours last month. So I'm wanting to get into that on the Switch side. But on the retro side, I have been playing one of my favorite games uh, of all time, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. It was my first Fire Emblem I ever owned, and I've played it probably a dozen times. Um, but I'm playing it now on the Analog Pocket, doing like a challenge run. Uh, the game's really fun because as far as Fire Emblem games go, in my opinion, it's a little on the easier side, so you can try some weird stuff, which helps me with the replayability. I don't have to like fall into one strategy every time. I can try new characters and try new strategies, so I'm having fun playing through that. And then yesterday, I tried a new game, or new to me game that is retro, got added to NSO, Wrecking Crew 98.
Hmm.
Um, this is a weird one because so I've played the original Wrecking Crew NES game, and it's whatever. I don't, I'm not. It's an old game. I don't really like it that much. Um, but what's interesting about Wrecking Crew 98 is it's an SNES game that came out in 1998, which is like 2 years after
Super
the
old, yeah.
N64. Just kind of weird. It was Japan only, so the version I'm playing is still only Japanese text. I have no idea what the story, what's going on. But it's basically like if you can picture Wrecking Crew, it's like a platformer and you hit the blocks with your hammers. But it's that mixed with like Tetris Attack. You have like a computer and y'all are both breaking blocks and shifting blocks to like send spam to their side and like fill their side up. It's pretty fun. It's really hard, a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I mean, it's a pretty simple concept, but getting big combos, it's like pretty important. I'm only on like the fourth level, and I've been having to like restart, save state, try again, over and over and over again. But it's fun. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be too long. I think I'm on the last level now because I'm going to Koopa's castle, so I can only assume that is the end. But I just beat Spike, the foreman. I showed him who's boss. But yeah, pretty fun game. Check it out if you have NSO. So.
Yeah, I'm curious about that one when I saw that, because I had no idea this game even existed until I saw it was coming to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, I checked the Mario wiki for it, and so it came out in May 1998 in Japan, but in January of 1998, it was like a Nintendo Power Flash cartridge game. You heard
Hmm.
about that? It's like I guess you could like get it a few months early. It came out on like January 1st of 1998, and then it came out in May at retail. So yeah,
That's so
it's
weird.
got a
How
cool
interesting.
a new sprite of Mario I've never seen before, like a nice 16-bit sprite. Looks really cool,
I love a
but
good sprite.
yeah, almost doesn't feel real, but it's fun.
That's cool, yeah. I want to check that one out. I'm curious, and especially since you're saying it's a good time and it doesn't seem too long either, which is good. So, but I do want to ask you about Fire Emblem because I'm also a huge Fire Emblem fan. What would you say makes Sacred Stones easier than most Fire Emblems? Is there anything
So,
specific?
well, I
Because I've
might have
never.
to
It's one of
amend that.
the missing games for me that I haven't played yet. So,
In general, I do just think that in general, the regular enemies are just typically pretty weak until pretty late in the game. And also, for me personally, I've played like a dozen times, so I know everything. Some might be a personal experience why it's
hmm
easier for me. Um, but yeah, the game just doesn't scale up as fast as the other games. And you start out with like one of your starting characters is probably the best character in any Fire Emblem game ever. He can like solo the end of the game from the start. So
holy
he's
cow!
like you've always got this crutch going back to the very beginning of the game. So um, that's why like I'm trying to do a little challenger. I'm trying to use a specific set of bad characters to see if I can beat
Oh,
it with
okay.
those bad characters.
I like that.
Um, but yeah, it's a pretty short game as Fire Emblems go too. It's only, I mean, I can probably beat it in like 10, 15 hours now. It probably
Oh,
takes
okay.
20, 30 if you've played if for the first time if you're actually watching the story. But
hmm Yeah,
It is,
I'd like to play that one soon. They haven't added that to NSO yet, have they?
they have not. That game's weird. It also like wasn't on Virtual Console
Hmm.
because it was part of the 3DS Ambassador program. So like if you
Oh
had
yeah.
it was in that, but because of that they didn't let you buy it otherwise.
Hmm.
So it's pretty hard to. I mean, I think you have to just have the cartridge for that game. I don't think there's any other way to play it unless
It
you have the
was,
3DS Ambassador program.
and it was
Yeah.
on Wii U. That much I do know because I have it loaded up on my
Okay.
Wii U.
Oh,
So
okay. Sure.
not that that
Yeah.
works anymore anyway, since you can't do anything on those consoles. So
Rest in
to
peace.
everyone out there, you can morally hack your Wii U and 3DS. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, especially now.
It's
Yeah.
easy to do.
Exactly. I mean, I had my modded long ago, but you know what? I own most of my games that I have the ROMs for anyway, so I don't feel too bad about
Yeah,
it.
they're just backups. Just backups.
Exactly. You
Yeah,
know,
I'll get Nintendo after
I
us on
backed
episode
them.
1, okay?
I backed them up myself. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I do actually have this one of the few CIB GBA games that I kept when I sold all my Game Boy Advance games. Was I kept the two Fire Emblems. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yes, so I do
I
have
don't
both of
have
those
it.
complete.
I don't have it complete anymore because pretty much all of my Game Boy Advance boxes, other than like literally Pokemon Emerald, were thrown in the trash at some point in my childhood.
I get it.
So I've got a bunch of loose cartridges, and then somehow Pokemon Emerald, which is like probably the most highest monetary value one I have. I happen to have that one,
Dude, I
so I was
can't
pretty happy
believe
with that.
how expensive Pokemon Emerald has gotten. It's disgusting.
Well, it's the
Yep.
best Pokemon game out there, so
Hey,
I It's my favorite. So, but
Pokemon Platinum would like to have a word with you.
I don't know. Gen 3.
I know.
Gen 3 supremacist.
Actually, I'm a real heathen because my favorite's probably Sun and Moon, and no one likes those games. But I've played through them like 3 or 4
ooh,
times, and I
that is
love
a
them.
hot take. I
So
don't know if I've ever heard someone say their favorite generation is Generation 7. Like
I couldn't
I
tell you
like
why. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you
I
why. I
like
just think it's so fun.
but
I like the
oh
setting a
yeah.
lot, and the Pokemon that they introduced new to that game I thought were cool, and just the regional decks. It was just great regional decks. But
Did you like the trials over the gym challenges?
I'm kind of indifferent, honestly. I don't really
Yeah.
care. I mean, everybody acted like they were so different. I mean, you still just fought somebody at the end anyway, so I was kind of like, it's not
Yeah.
really as different as people made it
Wording.
out to be. But
They
I
like almost
do.
over marketed it like as a difference. It wasn't really that much of a
Mhm.
difference.
No,
It was
I
really
think I think it was really just a marketing tactic to be like, hey, something different for Pokemon to get people in because, as far as I know, Black and White did not sell very well, or Black and White 2. So, or those were before that. I was thinking of X and Y. Sorry, X and Y I think did pretty well, but a lot of people, that's the one that no one says is their favorite. Actually, is X and Y. Those are the most
yeah.
forgettable Pokemon games. I
Yeah.
feel like
But your favorite Pokemon is from those games.
that's true. They did
Yeah.
give us the wonderful, beautiful Sylveon. I don't know. The something about Sylveon's design is just really cool, especially the shiny one. So it's like the only CGC graded Pokemon card I have is a shiny Sylveon card. So,
Hey Tyler, what's your favorite Pokemon?
oh yeah.
It's really hard to judge.
Yeah.
Have to go with Ghastly. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
There you
That
go.
makes sense.
yeah.
That was a good answer. But besides Sun and Moon, I would say my favorite Pokemon game is probably Platinum, actually. So I do like that a lot.
Nice.
Platinum was good.
I'm a Gen 4
Not as good
kid.
as Emerald, but it was good.
I went backwards. When I was younger, I got Red for Christmas as a child in probably like 99. And, I was only 4 then, so I was a little too stupid to know what to do, and I never beat it. And then I didn't play Pokemon again until Diamond and Pearl. And then I went backwards and I asked for
Wow.
my birthday for I asked specifically for Sapphire because I like the color blue. And then after that, I asked for Christmas for Pokemon Fire Red. So it's like I went kind of backwards in a way. So I have a
Yeah.
weird way that I played through the Pokemon games. But I don't know. Because it's like Gen 4, I feel like is a very weak generation overall. But there's just certain aspects of it that I like a lot. Like it has the coolest Elite Foreign Champion and different things like
Oh,
that.
yes.
So
Cynthia's awesome. Yeah.
Cynthia's the GOAT.
And don't mess with the Garchomp. Don't mess with it.
All right, so I guess I could go on to what I've been playing now. So, first thing I've been playing has been Final Fantasy X. I've been playing the HD port that they did for more modern consoles and the PlayStation Vita. And I wanted to play it on the Vita just for the portability factor. It seemed like a good portable game, as most JRPGs are. You could lay in bed while you grind for a while, or do this, that, the other while you're watching a TV show. You could grind for a while. It's just good for grinding in games when they're handheld, because then you can do something else while you're doing the monotonous part. So far, I'm about maybe 4 hours in. I think maybe closer to 3.5. I have 5 out of the 6 main party members, so I'm starting to gather my group together. I cannot believe how linear it is. I don't dislike it, but I was shocked because it really feels like hallway after hallway. Like there's basically no exploration, and when there is
Yeah.
open areas to explore, there's nothing there. Like it's a lot of dead ends or like maybe a treasure chest with some potions, and I don't know. Last year I played through Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, basically all in a row. So I'm just very used to more choice in my Final Fantasy games after running through a lot of the older ones.
Any
Um,
reason you skipped five there? One, two, three, four, six.
so the only reason I didn't play 5 was because I played through half of 6 a long time ago. I played the
Hmm.
iPhone port because I was able to play it at my old job, and after a while I was just like, I can't play this on my phone anymore. And I
Yeah,
already knew that
for
I
sure.
liked it a lot, so I just wanted to go back and play it because, as far as I know, people love 5 mostly for its gameplay, not for its story. And at the time, I wanted a good story JRPG, so I just
Sure.
skipped
Okay.
5 and went to 6. And I'm gonna go back to 5 eventually this year, because this year I plan on beating 10, 15, 8, and 5 is like the Final Fantasies as I'm trying to play through them all. But 10 is it's good. I know I'm still early, but unless it shakes up a bit more, I'm kind of shocked that it's a lot of people's favorite Final Fantasy because it really doesn't even feel like Final Fantasy. Like the whole aesthetic of it is just so different from anything else, and I don't know. It's not bad. It's just kind of almost like a culture shock in video game form. Like just not at all how I
Sure.
expect and feel Final Fantasy to play. Have either of you guys played 10 at all?
I have
I
not.
have I have not. I have that same port. I have the physically for the Switch. I'll get
Oh,
to it
nice.
eventually.
Hmm.
But yeah, you mentioned like it doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy. I feel like that's something Final Fantasy's been doing for like a lot of the last like they mix things up so much. They like
Yeah.
whether I mean they always they do default back to the full on fantasy setting, kind of like 16 did, but that like the gameplay switches up a lot. The I like that they switch different. It's not just fantasy or future or modern. They kind of you never
Hmm.
really know what you're going to get. I think that does help keep it fresh. But yeah, I have heard that 10 is a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, that's
So it's
why
interesting to hear that.
I'm very interested to see it to the end because no matter what, I'm probably going to try to get the platinum trophy because I'm trying to get the platinums in every Final Fantasy just as a
Sure.
personal fun challenge. As a big JRPG enthusiast, I'm like, this is the JRPG franchise that and Dragon Quest. So
Yep.
a big part of me just wants to see all that the games have to offer. I'm definitely afraid to do the platinum for this game because you have to fill out this thing called the Sphere Grid, and it has like 900
Hmm.
entries,
My one
and
friend.
yeah, I'm afraid of that. So because you have to grind your way to unlock all of those entries, so I'm not really looking forward to that. But again, that's why I'm playing it on Vita, so I can watch a good TV show or movie while I'm doing it. So
Hey, it's got to be a good game. This is the first one where they decided to do the blasphemous thing of name something Final Fantasy X-2 with a
that's true.
sequel. It must be good if they had a direct sequel like
True. I
that.
mean, it wouldn't have gotten a sequel if it's good, right? That's how that usually works.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to see because a lot of people I know love it. I have a buddy who I texted the other day because I knew it was his favorite Final Fantasy, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm sure it opens up eventually, and he's like, no, and I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, it's linear the whole time. I was like, oh wow. So, but linearity isn't inherently bad. It's just not what I expected going in, I guess. So I'm not really
yeah.
holding that against it. And one thing to note about a lot of the games I'm playing is I play a lot of long games and a lot of JRPGs. So next episode I might be talking about more updated thoughts opposed to new games, just as a heads up. So if you're curious to see how I feel about maybe 20 hours into more Final Fantasy X in 2 weeks from now, you'll be able to hear those thoughts then. Next up, I've been playing Beyond Oasis, which is a Sega Genesis game. I'm playing it on the Genesis Collection on PS4. This game is awesome. I can't believe that people don't talk about this game more. It's basically like a Link to the Past. Like, very similar structure, very similar feeling. You are a prince going through, yada yada, saving the land, but you're going through different temples, and I've only gone through 3 temples so far, so I'm still not super far into the game. I think I'm only like maybe a fourth of the way through by doing those 3, but at the end of 2 of those temples, I have unlocked like these like summon elements that I could do. So Like for example, for the first one, you get the water summon element. I don't remember the name of it, but then when I'm walking by a body of water, I could shoot a beam from my arm to the body of water, and I summon the water element, and then I could use different button combinations of tapping it to attack with the water element, tapping it twice to make like a whirlwind, holding it to heal myself. And then I unlocked a fire one where it's the same thing, 3 different button combinations to do 3 different moves with that element. And you like to get the fire element in one of the temples. I was like, I can't figure out how to summon it. There's no fire around me. Well, there was a guy throwing bombs, so I had to time my element shot at the explosion of the bomb to summon the fire element from the fire of the explosion. And I was like, that is such a cool idea. Like, it's a little obtuse and a little annoying because it took me forever to figure it out. But once I figured it out, I was like, wow, this is like super innovative, super cool. The music is great. The animations are gorgeous. The sprite work is amazing. I know you would absolutely love Zach since you're a big fan of A Link to the Past. This is like a must place for you to try.
I just Googled it while you were talking about it. It does just the images do look very nice. Who made this game?
I believe this is first party Sega. I'm not totally sure off the top of my head. I forgot to look it up. But because there's also a sequel on the Sega Saturn. So, and then there's a spin-off turn-based JRPG for the Game Gear that I played and didn't finish, but I played many years ago called Defenders of Oasis. So it's kind of like a mini series of that Sega had in the 90s going, which is really cool. Tyler, I think you would like this as well.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. You said it's on NSO? Or no, you're playing it on the PS4, right?
Yeah, I'm playing, because you have that Genesis collection too, I believe, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's on there. So, if you're a bit of a cheater and you like to use your save states or something once in a while too, just for convenience, I'll admit I do that sometimes. So
that's for Christian.
Hey. Well, it's hard because sometimes in older games there's just a little bit of that old game BS, and sometimes or it's like if I have to go do something, or the dog is barking, it's like can't always just save the game or whatever, so it's like easier to just save state and then hop back in where you were. So
it looks like it is on the Genesis NSO as well. So
there you go. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. Yes, you should all go ahead and check that out. It's an awesome game. I want to say it's underrated, but I also think that myself, I don't want to speak for you guys, but many of us are very Nintendo-centric when it comes to our retro games, and even Sony-centric. I think a lot of us kind of don't give Sega the attention or love that they deserve always. So I want to try to keep, maybe a Sega game in rotation a lot of time too, give them a bit more, give them their flowers, so to say, because I don't think they always get them when they deserve them. And then the last game I have, I will admit I fell into the hype of the Fallout TV show, so I decided to go and purchase, because it was only like $2 on Steam, the original Fallout for PC, so Fallout 1 I've been playing. This game is also amazing, and I didn't expect to like it so much. It is a very of its time, but still very innovative in a way, CRPG, computer role-playing game. There's just so much freedom in this game. You could really build whatever kind of character you want, and the game really does work its way around it. If you aren't a good... if you don't have very good charisma or speech, no one's going to want to talk to you or help you out. But if you do, some people are willing to just give things away, or sell you items for cheaper. If your intelligence is too low, you can't talk and you just make grunting noises, so you can't really progress the story very easily.
That's funny.
No, it's super funny because I had a glitch in my game where I read a bunch of books and for some reason it tanked my intelligence. And I couldn't talk to anybody, and I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I just slept for a few days, and then it fixed the glitch, which was good, because I thought that I soft-locked my game and couldn't finish it, and I was freaking out because I didn't have a backup save for like a few hours. So you definitely want to save a lot in those kinds of games as well, because, you could get into a fight, a main story fight, and one of your companions could accidentally punch the wrong person, and then all of a sudden there goes the main quest. So I really appreciate that... a lot of these kinds of CRPGs, every decision really does kind of matter in a way, and you really can affect almost anything and everything. You could kill anybody, you can do your best to be friends with almost anybody in a way, or at least not get on their bad side, talk your way out of conflicts. You could play the whole game pacifist if you try hard enough. There's ways to get through the game without killing anybody, which is really cool. Or you could just go on a murderous rampage and just get rid of everybody. So, Yeah, so the Fallout TV show made me want to check out the game, and I'm really glad I did because I've always heard good things about Fallout 1 and 2 and how different they are from later games in the series. So, now I could have the cool hipster take of saying Fallout 1 is my favorite Fallout, even though I've
Yeah,
never played any of the other ones.
yes, I've only ever played three, and correct me if I'm wrong. So when I think of Fallout, I think of like the Bethesda games, like
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda, shooter, they're
Mm-hmm.
shooter RPGs. Um, are one and two? They're not Bethesda, are they? There's someone like did
No, so
Bethesda pick up at
Bethesda,
three?
yeah, Bethesda bought the rights to them in the mid 2000s. So this was
Gotcha.
the first game is by Interplay, before they
Okay.
went out of business.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I only associate Fallout with Bethesda, but I've always like, oh, they never talk about one and two. It's because I guess it's just not their game. So
Yeah, they didn't make them. So, and
yeah,
it's funny, playing through it. It's like there's references to Fallout 1 in the TV show, which is cool. And I haven't played almost any other Fallout more than a few hours. I've played a little bit of 3 and a little bit of 4, but never got super far. So I'm excited to try to work my way through the series now and just see all those connections because they did say that the TV show is canon to the Fallout universe. It has its own story, but it's in like the same kind of world. Like that story did happen in that universe, which is cool. So,
nice.
and nobody told me that this game is a turn-based RPG, and that made me get so excited when I started up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "This is technically like a grid system with action points, and you take turns based off your agility and all these cool things." And I was like, "Man, would have gotten into it way sooner if I knew it was turn-based like that." So I got super
Yeah.
into it. Tyler, do you have any interest in Fallout?
Uh, I have interest in it. I have never played it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my one friend's a big Fallout fan. My dad's actually a big Fallout fan. I mean, one day I'll probably check it out. And I actually did not know about Fallout 1 being like that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know it
And
played like that until you just told me.
no, yeah, it's super cool, and oh my god, the atmosphere is like unmatched. I've never played a game where the world feels like so desolate and empty and like just like hopeless, but like in a cool way. Like the tone, they just nailed it perfectly. And if you can put up with the jank that a game like this from 1997 would have, I definitely would recommend it because I think it's so good.
Yeah.
I'm having a blast with it. I didn't expect to play it for 5 hours straight when I downloaded it, but I did. So,
Did
Nice.
you check out the show?
yes, I'm 3 episodes
Yeah.
in, and it's very good. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. So, like I said, I watched the first episode of the show, and that's kind of what made me be like, kind of want to play the games now. And I was like, might as well just go for the old ones because I hear how different they are from Bethesda's Fallout's anyway. So, and it might even make it harder to play the Bethesda Fallouts now because I'm gonna have kind of a different envision of how these games should work in my mind in terms of the role playing aspect. Because a lot of CRPGs they're like truly role playing. Where it feels like your decisions and dialogue choices and things really matter. Opposed to I feel like a lot of modern RPGs say that it matters, but you still usually end up in the same place, regardless of how much it actually matters or not.
Yeah, I only played Fallout 3 one time, but I do remember like you do still have all the speech skills and you talk to people and you can kill anyone just like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
break quest lines or you can change quest lines depending on what you do. So I think I mean, I don't know all the different endings and possibilities in Fallout 3, but I remember when I was playing it the first time, I at least felt like I was making a
Okay.
difference in doing
Well,
it. So
well, that's good to know at least, because it's like
it,
famously, I feel like Skyrim feels not super. Uh, I don't know. I've always felt like Skyrim doesn't really feel like a role playing game, even though it's touted as one, if that makes sense. So,
sure, yeah.
but yeah, so I'm excited to make my way through the series. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Next up, why don't we go ahead and talk about, or if you have them for show and tell, any new games you might have added to the collection recently?
All right.
Well,
Now
why don't you go first, Tyler?
I'll start it off. All right. So the game I recently acquired, I already showed you guys this thing. Don't play it. All right.
Floating runner.
Moving on. The only right. Well, no. I also got. Let's start with these. So recently, finally got the Capcom Fighting Collection.
Ooh, nice.
Really looking forward to playing the other Vampire Hunters, Darkstalkers, all that stuff. Big
That's
fan
cool.
of those ones. Also got this PS4 game, Carto.
Mm.
Seemed pretty interesting. There's no real back to it, just a blimp.
Oh
But
wow.
Interesting. Never heard of that.
yeah, I didn't either until I seen it, and then I looked it up. There was very few copies, so I was like, oh, interesting pickup for $20. Another one I got, there was a game store by me that was closing. They're closing because they're opening like a bigger store or something like that.
Oh,
And all their inventory was 20% off, like everything.
Oh wow.
And then some things was even more. And it included like new games, old games, all that. So then that's when I finally bought the Star Wars VR game,
Oh,
which
interesting.
actually seems to be a little hard to get as well. So figured I'd pick that up.
Yeah, I don't think they
And
put
then
a lot of
last,
PSVR games because nobody owns a
probably not.
PSVR.
and, and that's the thing. It's like a catch-22. I want to buy a PSVR 2, but I'm not going to buy it until they make games for it. So it's like,
Yeah,
like
So they'll
like
never
there's
make
always
games for
games.
it.
exactly. It's like just
There's, there's like always stuff coming out on the PlayStation Store, but they're all like I don't know, they're not that great. And they
Mm,
seem there's some fun ones like like Beat Saber. Like I said, the Ghostbusters one that was pretty fun. I was playing Arizona Sunshine 2. That's like a zombie survival type thing. Those
that's
were pretty
nice.
fun. But I mean, like for the price it is, like what $550 more than even the
yeah, it's like
PlayStation
more
5.
than the
Like
Hmm.
PS5. Yeah,
it's hard to sell.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Hard
other than
pass
that,
for me.
yeah. Last but not least, got on the Game Boy Advance Wacky Stackers
Ooh, that's fun.
Tiny Toons.
Is it
So
a match-3 puzzle game? It looks like.
yeah, you could.
Yeah, some sort. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
We always
that was
love
nice to
our
know.
Game Boy Advance cardboard in this household.
Yes. Cardboard, I want it.
Hell
Watch
yeah.
out.
All right, Zach, you got
Alrighty.
anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have
Any?
some Game Boy Advance cardboard actually.
Sweet.
Oh, let's
So
go.
yeah, so I'm trying to. One of my favorite series of games is the WarioWare series, and I'm trying to acquire all of them complete. I'm getting close, but one of the bigger purchases I made. So I've had WarioWare Twisted loose for a long time, maybe like a year or so. I say a long time, year plus. But recently, I finally bought the box for it,
Yeah, that big beautiful
which was
box.
yep,
Yes.
which is more expensive than the game itself. Um, and I remember when I bought this, friend of the channel, Bird Dog Gaming, said I'm finally a game collector now because I bought a piece of cardboard off of eBay for, $80 with no game in it. So I finally have crossed
That
the
that
threshold into
that's how you
collector.
know you've been infected with the disease.
Exactly.
The next one you got to do
Um,
is for Sacred Stones.
I
Yes.
do I do
Yeah.
want to get like I want to complete all of my like favorite games that I like. There's a handful of games in the GBA that I have loose cards for that I want to get complete, but I don't know. I was happy to get Twisted. Next thing I got to get is another Game Boy Advance game. I got the first one is on Game Boy Advance as well, so got to get the
Nice.
cardboard for that.
Cool, cool.
But the other game I got recently is I got the original Fire Emblem. I got
That's cool.
here. It's a little,
Beautiful.
it's a little, beat up on the corners, but it's a game from the 90s. So I'm just happy to have this. I can't even play it because it's a Famicom game, or so I can't even actually play it. But it's cool to have. I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. I've got a whole shelf of Fire Emblem like art books and other cool collector's editions and stuff. So I'm happy to have that for the shelf.
Me too.
Even though I'll probably never actually play this version of it, I've played the English translation that like Nintendo released for like 3 months or whatever in like
I have that as
2020.
well, yeah.
So weird, but I played that. So I have played this game and its remake, but it's cool to have the actual physical version of the original. I don't know, I might try to get a couple of the other Japanese ones down the line, but I'm happy with getting that one first for sure.
Yeah, they got a lot of games we didn't get out here, so that'd be a cool thing
Hmm.
to try to get. I was gonna say I also have. That's funny you say that. I have a Fire Emblem shelf in my game room, so
Nice.
it
I've seen it.
I think my favorite thing on there, just because it's so funny, is I have the VHS of the OVA that they made.
Yeah,
It's so
nice.
goofy. That's definitely worth watching if you're a Fire Emblem fan.
I've seen clips. I've seen clips from it. It's
Yeah,
pretty memeable.
yes, it's the first
So.
Fire Emblem media we got in the States, so kind of cool just based
Oh,
off of that.
interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't
Um.
realize that.
All right. So, you have anything else? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
That's it. I mean, I've got um, some modern games, but Final Fantasy. I do have the collector's edition, but it's in the closet, so I don't want to go grab it right now.
Oh,
But
you're good. I got you.
came with some cool steel books, so that was nice. But
Nice. All right. So next up, I have three games. They're all from the same media franchise. So first, I got Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist: Link Evolution. I did get the version with the cards, which makes me happy because, as anyone that collects Yu-Gi-Oh! Games know, the cards are always missing, which sucks. But I had a goal this year. Good friend of the show, Bird Dog Gaming, of course. We, on Collective Perspective, every year we try to set collecting goals for ourselves, and one of the ones I did was I want to try to get all the console Yu-Gi-Oh games. Not the handheld ones, because there's 10,000 of them, and that'll be very expensive, very hard to track down, especially since most of them are Game Boy Advance cartridges and cardboard. So I decided to just go for the console games, and there's not that many. There's only like 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range when I did my count. So I figured that'd be a doable goal and something cool because I myself am a very big Yu-Gi-Oh fan and Yu-Gi-Oh card collector and player. So next up, I got Yu-Gi-Oh! Dawn of Destiny on the Xbox. Sadly, no cards in this one, but that's because I couldn't even find a copy for sale with the cards. That wasn't brand new, and I wasn't going to pay for that. So hopefully I could just find those cards later down the line. And last up, very excited about this one, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses on the PS2. I know this is a very nostalgic game for a lot of people. I never owned it as a kid, but I rented it a lot. So it's kind of fun because I remember renting it from Blockbuster a lot back in the day. So I have like some vague memories of playing it and really enjoying it. So super excited to have those. I already had the Yu-Gi-Oh! And the False-Bound Kingdom on the GameCube, so I only have like maybe 5 or 6 games to go left to have all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Console games that came out in America, which is not too bad. So I'm excited to have that kind of little mini subset done eventually. Hopefully I'll have another one or two to show next time.
I've got Falsebound Kingdom as well. You made me realize something. I've got that in the closet, and I was like, I assume that has cards too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I need to go back. I have just a box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I need to find the cards for that game and put them back in the box because as a kid I took them out and put it with my other stuff.
That's funny.
So I need to actually go find those. And I have one Game Boy Advance Yu-Gi-Oh game. I couldn't tell you the title of it, but I'm sure the cards are in there too. I need to go find those and extract them.
Yes.
But
yeah, it's really cool that all these games came with the cards. Obviously, it just sucks, on the secondhand market many years later, because it's like you'll look and it's like, oh, cool, each card is like $30 if you want them, or if you could even find them. Oh, it's insane. Or if you find the game for sale with them, it's always like the game doubles in price. So it's easier to try to piece it together, but it does make for cool collector's pieces for sure. So.
One thing I always liked about the Yu-Gi-Oh games is how they always had those codes at the bottom of the cards, and you could like get the card on the game by entering that code.
Oh, is that even a thing? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's on like at least I know on the Game Boy Advance ones. Like as long as the cards are like predated to it, it has like those little numbers at the bottom of the card. You could look it up in the shop, and you could pop it up and buy it.
Oh, are you talking about like the set numbers,
correctly.
like how it has like the letters and the number for what set they're from?
I think so. It's been a while,
Interesting.
but I know there's like a little code there at the bottom, and you can
Dude,
look
I
it up
have
and get it in the game.
I have
I did that a lot with
hundreds.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy on the Game Boy Advance.
I was gonna say I have hundreds of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It'd be so fun for me to try this.
what if they just all have the Konami code at the bottom? You have to just press the Konami code and it just shows up.
There you go. I know it's weird because I always forget that Konami is the one that owns the rights to Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I'll go and buy stuff and they have like their seal, like of their lettering covering all their products to show that it's official. And I'm just like, man, you fell off of grace in so many ways, but somehow you still found time to duel.
Yeah.
They kept it together for us. They can't make a Castlevania game or a Metal Gear game, but
We've got pachinko machines. That's all
but
we
they
need.
Pachinko
can-
machines and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
yes. So, and you know what? I'll take Yu-Gi-Oh. So hot take: I like Yu-Gi-Oh more than most things that Konami has made, just because I love Yu-Gi-Oh so much. Not that I dislike other stuff, but I don't know. Something about
Yeah, no hate on
that
no hate
old
on
duel
Bomberman.
monsters. I just love Yu-Gi-Oh. I play Master Duel all the time. I play my brother-in-law with the physical card game all the time. It's super fun, logging on to Master Duel and like losing turn 2 for like 5 matches in a row and just hating your life and wondering why you even bother. It's a good hobby. I would recommend it to everybody.
When I was a kid, a friend of mine and I played Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, but we'd play each other with the same decks because we only had like a certain amount of cards. So we made up our own Yu-Gi-Oh game. He had stairs in his house, so one person would start at the bottom, we'll be at the top, and we made it to where on your turn, instead of attacking or defending, you can move your card up a number of stairs depending on how many stars that card has. So like if you get to the top, you can do like a direct attack
That's
like at
awesome.
their yeah. So we made up our own like Yu-Gi-Oh game, but
Well, for what
I
it's
love
worth,
that.
if you've ever watched the Yu-Gi-Oh anime back in the day, they basically make up the rules as they go
oh yeah,
anyway.
it's all yeah,
So
right, yeah.
I'll be watching it, and Yugi's like, "I summoned Dark Magician." I'm like, "You can't just summon Dark Magician. you can't.
What are you doing,
You
Yugi?
can't you're cheating." And Kaiba's like, "Oh, I'm putting out all three of my blue eyes at once," and I'm like, "Where? How are
Yeah.
you
Listen, as long as
doing
you have the
this?"
heart of the cards, anything is possible.
So they say. I mean, nobody cheats more than Yugi. I saw a TikTok the other day that was making me laugh, and they're like, the reason they don't follow the rules in the anime is because there's no text on the card, so they're following the honor system. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
they say I can do that. He must be able to do it. I can't prove him wrong.
Yeah, I remember I watched the Yu-Gi-Oh anime as well as like the original Pokemon anime. My mom would
Hmm.
like get up for work at like 4 in the morning, and she'd wake me up, and like I could watch it, and then she'd go to work, and then I would just like fall back asleep till normal wake up time. But I would watch the Yu-Gi-Oh anime like very early in the morning growing up.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Like, we grew up in such a cool generation because a lot of the stuff that we liked when we were like 5, 6 years old is still around today. Like,
Oh yeah.
I feel like a lot of stuff, generations prior, they either came and go or they come back eventually. But like, you think about when we were kids, it was like, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all these different things. They never went away. They totally stayed around, and it's kind of cool that I think that's why so many of us are nerds, because we never had to give any of this stuff up because it never went
Yep.
away.
Yep.
It's really cool and really
Yeah.
interesting. All right. Good games, fellas. We're all beefing up our collections a little bit. I think I have to say that old Fire Emblem's probably the coolest thing. So I need to get
Oh,
me a
thank you.
copy of
Yeah.
that eventually. It's a
Yeah, I'm
beautiful
happy to
Unfortunately, I
have
box.
have
it.
no N-Gage pickups lately.
You
Maybe
gotta get
next
that
time.
Shadow Key, bro. Where's that Elder Scrolls Shadow Key at?
Man, nah, it's all about that Atari Masterpieces Volume 2.
Yes, for
That's
those
all
of
about.
you that don't know, why don't you tell the world how hard that game is to find?
Like, so I would pretty much say how I got it. So Atari
Hmm.
Masterpieces Volume 2, you'll pretty much never see it. Besides, I think there's like one up on eBay right now with the Volume 1, and it's like $2,000. But
Insane.
so our buddy, friend of all of us, Bird Dog Gaming Christian, he was at a game convention and he called me up and he was like, "Hey, so there's a table here and they have like every N-Gage game. Is there any like you wanted or were looking for?" And I was like, no, there's no way they can. And I was like, they got Atari Masterpieces Volume 2. He's like, yeah, they do. And I was like, what? I was like, they do? And he was like, yeah. So, end of story. It was like $200, and then he was like, "Let me see if he'll do less." And I was like, "Yeah, if you want." And he said he'll do 180. So that's the most I spent on an N-Gage game, but it was worth it because probably never going to get that opportunity again. So I
Yeah,
don't regret it.
it's one of
Nice.
those games so hard to find that you almost wonder if it was officially released, like if it was ever
Right.
actually for sale, or if it was like just some like canceled game or something. Because it's like it never comes up ever. It's so weird.
Yeah.
So if you're
Well,
one of those weirdos trying to get a full N-Gage set, uh, you might not ever do it because Tyler has one of two copies of, of this
exactly.
game. That's so fun.
Maybe give me a Pokemon box and maybe we'll talk. I don't know, but
There you go. I know. I mean, Pokemon box is so disgustingly expensive now too. So I mean, I
not
guess
so bad.
it'll probably be an
I mean,
equivalent exchange for that. As sad as that is.
yeah, you want Pokemon box? Let me get an N-Gage game. Like,
Never forget how I got Pokemon box for $220. I wish that was still a thing.
I bought the Japanese version for $60 just to troll Christian.
There you go. That's all you need. When I got my copy, I always loved. It was so weird. I went to Arizona to see my friend who was in a play. She was doing a play, so we went down to go watch it. And there was a game store near her house, so we went there, and they had a copy of Pokemon Box for $220. And they tried to talk me out of buying it. They're like, "This is a lot of money, for what's not actually a game, right?" And I was like, "No, I know what it is. That's
The
okay."
store was trying to talk you out of it?
Yeah, this was in 20.
Oh.
I think this was in like 2017 or 2018, so it was a
Yeah.
while ago now. But even then, it was still, probably about a $300-400 game, and it had the memory card, it had the stickers not used on the memory card yet, had everything except for the outer box. So that was still a great deal even back then. And the guy was like, "Yeah, it's been." I asked him how long the game's been sitting there, and they told me it was sitting there for over a year for that price. And I was like, "Oh my god! Like, how did
Wow.
nobody notice this?" Or I guess just nobody. That was back before people really cared to, to
Sure,
spend that
yeah.
much money on GameCube games. So, because it's like they had that Gotcha Force, Go-Go Hyper Grind, like Fantasy Star 1 and 2 Online Plus, like all in their special, like expensive area case. So it's just back when GameCube collecting was a whole different beast, and I
So how
had them.
did you eventually get your outer box?
So that one I ended up just bidding on eBay. I ended up winning a bid, and it's the most I've ever spent on a game. I'm not exactly proud of it. It was like I think like $800 or $850 somewhere around there.
That's cheaper than
But
those
to
went in.
make it kind of even out, I had two copies of the game, and I just bought it for the outer box. So I sold one of the copies of the game for like $500. So then I was pretty much even at that point, or close to. So between
Sure,
like
Yeah.
spending $500 for like a complete copy with the big box and everything, so kind of evened out at the end. Um, but yeah, it's just crazy, crazy, crazy to see how GameCube collecting has changed over the years. Uh, all y'all always joke around saying that I somehow know what set to collect next before it explodes in value. So I
That's
can
why
tell
I
you
hopped
right
on the
now.
Vita train.
Yeah, I know you guys need to start collecting Vita games since I'm almost done with the Vita. That means it's gonna blow up soon.
Sony's about to come back out and be like, yeah, you know what, we're closing down the store again. Officially, it's all gonna go up again.
I know, and it's funny because so many games exploded and then just slowly trickled back down when that happened. Like, there's a bunch of PS3 games where it's like you could go look at on price charting the data for them, and the day that they said the PS3 store was going down, everything like spiked up, and then it just slowly goes back down. So super interesting and fun to look at. Collecting's a stupid hobby. Don't do it. Don't be like
Now
us.
it's happening with the 360.
I know, because yeah, the 360 store shutting down soon too, right?
The
Is there a
end
date
of
on that?
July, I think. I think it's
July?
the end of July.
Yeah, I don't
But yeah, I
know.
was like, me and Christian were looking at some last night, and there's a lot of stuff just shooting up. Some's not even available. It's crazy.
I know there's you know what? I'll give you guys a freebie. Operation Darkness on the 360 is already pretty uncommon and a little expensive. So if you want to collect 360, get Operation Darkness now. It's an Atlas game on the 360. And that's weird enough as is because Atlas has nothing to do with Microsoft except for like Catherine that generation. So definitely check it out. All right,
Operation Darkness.
fellas, would you say it's about time we get to the topic of the show? Embarrass ourselves?
Yeah,
I'm ready to
I'd
embarrass
say let's
myself.
do it.
All right, so for our first episode, like I said, we want to discredit ourselves. This is our biggest backlog embarrassments. We've all decided on 3 games to talk about to kind of out ourselves as fake gamers, to show that we don't actually play anything. We're just shelf collectors. So let's see. Why don't you go first, Zach? What is the first game on your list of shame that you want to share with us?
So yeah, I was gonna bring this one up second, but I think I'll go first now because you brought up that you were playing through a lot of the old Final Fantasies, and one game that's been on my list for a very long time is Final Fantasy VI.
Okay, yeah.
I've never actually played it. I know I would like it. Like I've gotten into Final Fantasy in the last few years. I've been going back and playing them, and I actually own six now on the Switch, but I've never got around to it. I've been playing like I play pretty much every new Square game that comes out, but I just never had a real opportunity to play six until it came out on the Switch because I don't play a whole lot of games on Steam, and I know you said it was on the phone. I wasn't going to play it on the phone,
Yeah, it wasn't a good version. You didn't miss out
and I
there.
think didn't it come out on the Super Nintendo Classic?
I think it is,
Maybe.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
is on
and
it.
I never got one of those. So it's just been avoiding me, like for a long time. I've wanted to get to it because I do like turn-based games. I like Final Fantasy, and a lot of people say six is one of the best ones.
Definitely.
So
You
uh,
can suplex a train. It's better than that.
exactly,
That's
yeah.
true. You do see that is one of the best things to ever happen in a video game. It's so funny. Every time I've played through six, I've gotten to that point in the game where you fight the train at least 3 times between my playthroughs, and you gotta suplex the train. It's like
Of course,
it's a
that's
game
awesome.
changer. But six is It's definitely my second favorite Final Fantasy. I like 7 a little bit more just because the story and the characters resonate with me so much. But 6 is such a strong contender for second best Final Fantasy in my opinion because the music is incredible. The cast is great, a little too big in my opinion, but it does have a good overall like main core cast. Um, I love Terra. She's such a good character. I know some people say she's not really the main character of 6, but I think she is. The story mostly focuses around her by the end of it all, and of course Kefka, one of the greatest villains in all of gaming.
I've heard good things.
Dude, Kefka is so cool. It's so good. Oh my god, I can't wait for you to play it. It's
Yep.
it's a magical experience, and it's pretty long too. Like I would say it's like at minimum probably a 40-hour game, which is pretty hefty for a Super Nintendo game, you know.
For sure,
So,
yeah.
but in my opinion, it doesn't waste any time. You never get bored. The grind is never too tedious, but it is worth grinding for the best weapons and going to the arena to you know in the newer games is the bestiary, filling out the bestiary, getting all the trophies in PlayStation version. I had a blast with. So
Wasn't
Yeah.
there one that you were stuck on that was like a gamble like type thing?
yes,
Was that
so
it?
there's one trophy that's totally RNG, and that did suck because it probably took me over 10 hours just to get that one trophy. And it was literally where cuz every character kind of has like their own little quirk of their own special ability that no one else could do. And one of them has a slots ability where you have to get what they call the Joker's Death, which is when you get 3 sevens and it just auto kills whatever you're fighting, automatically puts their HP to 0 and you win the battle. But um those rolls for the sevens are manipulated on top of manipulation. So it's like you could get the first 2 sevens, and then the third 7, even if you were to exactly, hit the button at the right time to get that third 7, there's an additional roll that can move it up or down one, which is stupid and unfair. But they also probably did that, originally in the game they didn't have in mind people doing it for trophy hunting or an achievement or something. They just had it in mind of it's supposed to be luck based, haha, funny joke, quirky. But when it came to making that an achievement in the game, it made it hell, and I had a terrible time. I was very angry, but when I did
You said you
finally
did it
get
one
it,
time or what?
yeah, you only had to get it once. So
Yeah.
and there's also like an alternative version where you can get the opposite, where it kills everyone in your party instead. And I got that plenty of times and had to restart my game plenty of times. But of those 10 hours, I literally got the triple sevens once, and it was just absolutely brutal. But, can't hold that really against the game because that's just me being a stupid trophy hunter. So,
Sure, yeah.
as a game, Final Fantasy VI, 1000% recommend, one of the greatest games of all time. Do you have any history with it, Tyler?
I don't. That's one I still need to get to one day. All I know is suplexing the train, and it's a lot of people's favorite Final Fantasy. So hopefully,
Yeah.
one day I can check it out soon.
I think objectively it probably is the best Final Fantasy. It's just personally 7 resonates with me more, so that's why
Yeah.
7's my favorite. All right,
Real
Tyler.
quick before we go,
Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna say I don't want to get into it, but I did have like a 1B for this one. I
Sure.
didn't want to include both of these because they're both SquareSoft, but I also have not played Chrono Trigger. So I was tossing if I wanted to do FF6 or Chrono Trigger. So
That's fair.
yeah, but I'll
Definitely.
get to both of those one day.
Yes. All right, Tyler, what is your first game of shame?
So my first game of shame, I'm gonna go with something that me and Zach discussed a little bit. Hopefully, he doesn't have it on his list. Metal Gear Solid. So
okay, yeah.
I never honestly played any of the Metal Gear Solids, which might as well call me a shell collector because I own pretty much all of them. But I just never got around to them. It's something I always wanted to. My one friend was recently playing through it, and he was having such a great time. I think he went through 1 and he got through 2. He didn't start 3 yet, I believe.
Mhm.
And he just keeps telling me, he's like, "Oh, you gotta play it, you gotta play it." And with how the story's all like complicated, makes you really look into it and think about it. I like those types of things where I could like be involved with it and divulge into it and get all the information I can, learn all about it and everything. So I feel like it is something I will really like. It's just a matter of getting to it.
Totally
Yeah, and
fair.
Tyler, I did have it on my list also.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I know I should have brought it back up because I was like, I bet you Tyler will do. I just forgot to put it back up. Yeah, I haven't got to any Metal Gear or really any of Kojima's games in general. But I've people always talk so highly of Kojima and then Metal Gear. It's like I gotta play them eventually.
Yeah.
I know this the Snake Eater remake's coming out later this year, so I'd like to get through Metal Gear Solid 1 before, and then maybe I'll get into Snake Eater remake if I like it. So
hmm No, yeah,
yeah,
it's not on my list, but I also have not played through the original Metal
Wow.
Gear Solid.
Uh,
I have it on the GameCube, of course, the Twin Snakes remake, but I would like to play the PS1 version first, just because I know that the games are different enough. I have it loaded up on my Vita. I tried playing it a few weeks ago, and you know, the game doesn't exactly tell you how to do everything, so I kept getting, my ass beat, and I just got frustrated and I gave up pretty
yeah.
quickly. But I know that that's just a skill issue in my end, so I do want to play that. I also, part of me is like almost like hesitant to play a lot of Kojima's games because I feel like people, ride his ass a little too much to the point where sometimes it gets annoying. But
That's what
I
I'm
also
saying. That's how I feel. But like I was like, there has to. I'm
no,
getting missing
exactly.
something.
I'm like it must be justified for how much people blow smoke up his ass. So
I
I'm
mean,
like,
he made Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hands, a
that's
game
true.
where the sunlight reacts to your Game Boy
Yeah.
cartridge. So like, the man's got
He
some
yeah.
ideas.
He's
Uh,
also made Snatcher, which I have played and is awesome. So I can't say at least that much. Snatcher on the Sega CD, super super cool game. So that does make me be like, all right, I see what you're cooking. I see what you're cooking there, Kojima. So
yeah,
yeah, haven't beaten Metal Gear as well. So maybe that can be one that we try to do as like kind of our play together game eventually, because I
yeah,
don't think
that'd be
it's
fun.
super long either. So that's definitely one to put on the short list of the games that we should probably try to experience together, fellas.
Yeah, and that
yeah.
collection just came out recently, so it's pretty accessible now. So
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
always,
So
I'm sure it's on Steam or whatever, but
I own that as well.
yeah,
there you
the
go.
collection. Yeah,
There you go. Perfect.
yeah.
All right. First up for me,
All
you already
right, let's hear
mentioned
it.
it, but Chrono Trigger. I've never finished Chrono
Oh,
Trigger.
okay, nice.
And I always tout myself as a JRPG guy, so I am kind of embarrassed of that because, Chrono Trigger is the JRPG, so they say.
Yep.
I have started it more than once. Originally, I started it on the DS, didn't get super far, and then I played it a little bit on my phone actually because it was I don't remember why it was on sale or something, and I have the Backbone, which is like the controller you could plug into your iPhone that kind of makes it
Yeah.
a handheld. So I thought it'd be kind of worth playing it that way. But then, it's like you get a text message, it just kind of ruins everything when you're trying to play a game on your phone. So I was like, maybe this isn't the way. So I think I'm gonna just go back to the DS version eventually and play it that way because it has the map on the bottom screen for that convenience and stuff. And other than that, I think it kind of has a bit of an updated translation as well. So as long as that's the more faithful version to the original Japanese script, I would like to do that. So I'll probably look into it that way. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is a big, big one that I'm missing, unfortunately. So,
Hey, I'm missing that one as well, and I would say that would make another great one that we could all play together
For sure.
if
yes.
we never
Yeah,
played it.
because another one that's not super long either. Like, I think you could probably do a run of Chrono Trigger. It has multiple endings, but I've
Yeah,
I've been told you could
that's what we
probably
could
blast
do.
through that in like 15 to 20 hours. So,
We could all compare our endings.
Yeah.
that'd
That'd
be
be
cool
great.
too. Because I would
That'd
like
be
to
great.
not have a guide and try to see if I could get the best ending on my own. So,
Yeah.
Square's got to be like doing something with Chrono Trigger, right? Like, there's no reason it isn't like on modern consoles
I
other
don't
than they got to be doing
understand it.
something.
I think that it's like their break glass in case of emergency game. Like they're like, we're about to go bankrupt. How do we make money quick? Chrono Trigger
Well,
on modern
well, it
consoles.
was FF7
10 million
remake. That
copies
was their
sold.
first. The FF7 remake was their first break glass. Now they have Chrono Trigger waiting in the wings. But like they
Exactly.
did
'Cause
Chrono Cross, so it's like obviously they know Chrono Trigger. Like they're still thinking about it.
I know, super
But
weird, but that's why I think it must be like kind of like a almost a last resort thing because they know
sure.
it'll sell like hotcakes as soon as they release it. Because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Why would you release a sequel first on modern
How do
consoles?
how do you think they when it does eventually show up, whether it be is it going to be a remake, remaster, HD 2D? How is it showing up in the future?
I think it should just be at most maybe like I wouldn't even say a pixel remaster like Final Fantasy 1 through 6 because I think it holds up perfectly. Like it has probably the best sprite work on the Super Nintendo, right? Or at least
Yeah,
some
super
of.
good.
So
Mm,
I feel like you could just port it, maybe make it widescreen so it looks a little bit better on modern consoles, and I think that's all you really need to do.
I agree. I
Because
feel like
everything
if
else
they did
about
want
it,
to go a little further as well, they could maybe do it like an Octopath Traveler type style.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
the
I mean,
HD2D.
That would be
I like
neat.
the HD 2D thing, but I feel like it's starting to get a little old, a little quick already. So I'm not against it, but I don't know. It's like Chrono Trigger. It's like it already looks perfect. It doesn't really need a lot of quality of life because it just plays super well. I'm like, you really could just leave it alone because I haven't not finished it out of not liking it. It's just one of those things where games come out here and there, and then you just get distracted, and sometimes you fall behind, and then by the time you want to go back, you're like, I might as well start over because it's been so long since I played it. So
Yeah.
it's fallen into that category twice for me. So nothing against the game itself. It's fantastic from what I've played. I just need to go back to it. So that is
Did you play Sea of Stars?
I started it, but I didn't get very far.
Yeah. I heard
Haven't
it's like a
started it yet.
spiritual successor to it. So I enjoyed that game, and I know I'd like Chrono Trigger, so I need to finally just sit down and just play it.
Yeah,
So,
me too. All right, so I guess you've already kind of went through your second game, Zach. So do you want to give
yep.
us your third game?
Sure. I was trying to go for like real, uh, significant games like Metal Gear, Final Fantasy VI,
Mm-hmm.
Chrono Trigger. This one I think is still a significant game, but it's significant for like a weird reason. And Craig, I know you like this game a lot, and that's Mother 3.
Mm.
Um, like, yeah, so like,
My favorite
I,
game of all time.
exactly. So I knew you'd be able to talk to this. So that's why I felt good about bringing it. So I've played Earthbound Beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like probably a little over halfway through Earthbound. I probably need to start that back over because it's been a while. I got distracted with other things. But I really like both those games. I even liked Beginnings. I used a guide that helped me get through it. I don't know if I would have beaten that without a guide,
Dude, you cannot
but
beat Mother 1 without a guide.
it's
Getting through
so
between
it's
Mountain
crazy.
Toy and then it's like a factory. I can't remember what it's called, but there's like this bit. It's just the biggest mazes of big mazes. It's
And it's hard at
disgusting.
the end too. Like I was high leveled and it was like so difficult.
So
Um,
famously, because they were rushing development at the end, Shigesato Ito has done interviews about it where they were like, "We need to, do some balance checks in Mounted Toy. It seems really tough," and he was like, "It's fine." He was like,
did,
"Just
did,
finish the game." So
wow.
they did not do any testing in the final area of the game, and that's why it's so difficult and
Yeah, it's so
unbalanced.
hard. But yeah, so I really liked that game and I really liked Earthbound. I need to finish it. But Mother 3, because of all like the hype of like the fact that it's not released in North America and everyone talks about how good it is and everyone's wanting it to get released on the Switch, whatever. I do have an English patch on my Analog Pocket now, so I have it downloaded. I can play it whenever. I just need to sit down and actually do it. So I'm excited to do that. I'm gonna finish Earthbound first and then go into Mother 3, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think you definitely should beat Earthbound first because there's a lot of callbacks. You could totally enjoy Mother 3 without playing Earthbound, but uh, I think it's worth playing Earthbound first just because of the connections it has to it. So
Yeah.
more so than like Mother 1 to Mother 2. Mother 2 to Mother 3, I think it's more important to play it that way because I actually played Earthbound Beginnings last. I went Earthbound Mother 3 then Earthbound Beginnings. So
Would you say
So
that's the best way to play them?
Um, yes
What
and
would you say?
no. I think it kind of just depends on your tolerance for NES JRPGs. Obviously, they're super slow, super grindy, very difficult in some areas, like we were saying. But there is a connection between Mother One and Mother Two, Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound. So it kind of just depends on your tolerance, but I don't think that you'll be missing out on that much if you play it last. So especially since every Nintendo YouTuber and their mother has talked about the history of these games at some point. You probably already know all the basics about these games. You probably know about Porky. You probably know about Gygus, all these other different characters that come up between games. So I wouldn't say that there's truly a best play order. Um, I just actually that's not totally true. I think the best way is to not play Mother 3 first. At least make it
Not play Mother
Earthbound or
3 first.
Earthbound.
Okay.
I would at least leave that for second or third. But I think if you choose, uh, yeah, I'd say either go Earthbound, Mother 3, Mother 1, or Mother 1, Mother 2, Mother 3. One of those two are probably the best options to go.
Good stuff.
Okay, good to
How do
know.
you feel about Lucas is the main character in Mother 3? Is that correct?
Yes. Hmm.
So how do you feel about the first game being Nintendo and then Ness, and then dropping that
It,
like
it's definitely a
style
little
of character
weird.
name.
I guess they wouldn't have really had. I mean, there's not really a name that you could make out of Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, or even at the time when they were making for Nintendo
I guess that's
64.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that's part of it. But they're also named after characters from a book series that helped inspire Mother 3. I cannot
Hmm.
remember the name of the book series, but there are characters from it called Lucas and Klaus, and that's where their names come from.
Interesting. Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so that's part of why their names are that. But I think also part of it was because they wanted it to have twins where their names are anagrams of one another, the same letters. So so
Okay.
yeah. But I do like Lucas. Uh, I think Ness is still my favorite of the protagonists of the Mother series, but I obviously love Lucas just because he's my boy, main character of my favorite game of all time. So
Stuff. Yeah, I look forward to playing it. I'll let you know when I start it, so I'm sure you'll be
yeah.
interested.
Do you know about the combat differences that they added to Mother 3?
I do not know.
Okay.
Is it
So
still? It's still a turn-based
yeah, it's
everything,
still
right?
turn
Nothing.
based, but they
Yeah.
added if you like rhythm games, there's a rhythm element to it. So every
Oh,
enemy has
nice.
a unique song, and if you tap your attack button along to the beat of the music, you do extra damage. It's super cool. So like it
That
keeps
is.
it, yeah, it's very engaging.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
cool. I do.
Hmm.
I do like rhythm games. So,
And they kept
one.
the rolling health meter from Earthbound as well.
I
So
was gonna say it's one of my
mhm.
favorite things about Earthbound is like the rolling health meter. Like when you're dying, you can just spam an attacker quick and get
Yeah,
it off before you die. That's so cool.
yeah, spam attack or try to heal yourself super fast. I know
Yeah.
that's one of the coolest little things that a game has ever done. I'm always surprised more people didn't try to copy that because I don't know of any other games that do that except for Earthbound and Mother 3.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, Tyler. What's your next game of shame?
All right, my next game of shame is one that I feel Seijiro is gonna really bash us on, well, me on if he listens to this. But Banjo Kazooie,
Mm.
considering how much I like collectathons and all that type of stuff, and Rare as a developer and all that, like I played ukulele, a spiritual successor to it. Really enjoyed it, but I never really delve into the whole Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie area. I'm hoping one day to,
Mm.
and it's one that I always hear people talk about, like, oh yeah, here N64, Rare, Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Kazooie. It's one I just never got around to.
Fair enough. Zach, any thoughts on Banjo Kazooie? Have you played it?
Yeah. So I've played it through NSO. I have not beaten it. So like I think there's like 9 or 10 worlds, and I think I'm on the fifth or sixth world. So I
Mm.
played like enough to to understand it. I had fun with it. It kind of one thing that bothered me was to get all the little I think the jiggies, the little like puzzle
Jiggies.
piece things. If you die, you just like say you like you need to get 100 of them to get like the completion for that. So you have like 92 and you die, or if you just leave the level, you have to just get all 100 again. They don't. It doesn't like save your progress with that. So you have to just get it every time.
Oh really? Oh,
Jeez, I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
it's pretty annoying.
sheesh.
At least in the original, I think they might have changed that on like the Xbox like release of it through.
See, and that's why I was confused because I've played the 360 port, and I don't
Yep,
think it happens in that version because I was like, I don't ever
yep.
remember that happening.
Yeah, I think they changed that, but I played it through NSO and it's the original N64 version. So yeah, if you get like 95 jiggies and then you leave the level, you go back, you have zero. Which I did not because I like to complete things, especially like collectathons,
Hmm.
and that kind of bothered me. It's a fun game though. Like I would like to go back and finish it, and I'm sure eventually they'll drop Banjo Tooie on NSO, and I'll check that out. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I have not finished Banjo Kazooie myself. I've played a good amount of it, like you. I don't think I've gotten as far as you have. I don't know. Just it never wowed me like it seems to wow other people. Like I know people really love this game, and some stuff just isn't for you, and I think that's okay. That I think Banjo Kazooie isn't totally for me, unfortunately. But
sure, yeah,
I do respect that it's an important game and a very iconic game. So
yep.
all
Agreed.
right. Next on my list, I think that this wouldn't be considered, the most important um, game by most people, but to me, it's
Diddy
pretty
Kong
important.
Racing.
No, although I haven't played that either. Um, uh, again, as a big JRPG guy, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne is a game that I have not finished, and I'm ashamed of not finishing. I'm a big Persona guy. I've played through Persona 3 twice. I played through Persona 4 twice. I played through Persona 5 3 times. So I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in these worlds. And I feel like I just haven't given respect to the the parent series of it enough. I've played a little bit of Devil Summoners. I've played a little bit of Megami Tensei on the Super Famicom, that version, and I played a little bit of Nocturne, but never finished it. So I just really want to go back and try to play more of the roots of these really iconic and important Atlas games. But I think Nocturne is kind of like the turning point for modern day Atlas and modern day Shin Megami Tensei. So that is one that I want to try to prioritize, even though I haven't finished it yet.
Is Nocturne a numbered entry? Is it the third one?
Yes, it is the third one. They just don't call it that in the States for some reason. So, but
Gotcha.
we didn't get Shin Megami Tensei 1 or 2 in the States either, so I think that's why.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned you played a lot of Persona. I'm trying to get into Persona. I know I'd like Persona. Like my favorite game ever is Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that's Fire Emblem Persona, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Very close.
I've got Reload sitting on the shelf right there, and I did buy. I do own SMT5 on the Switch, and it was one of those games I was gonna play it, and then it just like kept getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
And then I was like getting re-released with like the thing like, oh, now I'll buy it again and play the Vengeance River. The Vengeance
It's hard because it
version.
runs like crap on Switch anyway, so
Yeah, so
might
I would
be
buy
better to
if
play
I
it on
got the
something else.
yeah if I got the SMT5 Vengeance, I would get it on PS5.
That's my
and there's
plan.
Actually, but
What about you, Tyler?
Yeah.
Any
So-
SMT thoughts?
I never played any of the Shin Megami Tensei games. Like Zach, I bought 5, expecting to play it, and then just kind of kept getting pushed. I even got the big premium one with the bag and all that stuff. I was like,
Me
yeah, I'm
too.
gonna really get into this game,
I
and
got the
then
Steelbook. Yeah, so yeah.
never got into it. So, but like he also said, how it's coming out again on modern platforms. So probably check it out on the PlayStation. But as far as like the other like Personas and stuff, like I played through 5, really enjoyed 5, played the Royal version, and then I started Reload. I still need to get around to finishing Reload. I'm not a maniac like you, finishing it and platinuming it in a week.
So be the
But,
person in the world to do it, baby.
It's so funny.
But
That was
I'll get
insane.
through it. I really enjoy them, and I feel one day I will get back and play all the others. But don't have too much experience with them.
Yeah, I mean, really, if I want to do a 2B, I could push Persona. Oh no, I messed up the recording. Okay, I fixed it. I hit the wrong button. We're good. I was gonna say it's kind of a 2B thing. I could also put Persona 1 and 2 since I have not finished those either. So I'm kind of a modern day Persona fan opposed to the classic Personas, which is something I definitely want to fix as well. But yeah, I'm trying to decide though because I played a good amount of Nocturne Remastered on PS4/PS5, but it's one of those things that you don't realize till you see it. I saw screenshots of the game running natively on PS2, and it just looks so much cooler. Like, the lighting is totally different. Yeah, it's like a lot of these kind of games, it seems like when they bring them to modern consoles, something about the lighting always gets messed up. Or like when they retexture some of the faces and do some remodeling on the faces, they just don't look as good. It's one of those games that just has such a really cool and unique vibe. Everything in Nocturne truly feels like, for lack of a better term, fucked up and evil, which is really cool. Like, it's like you see Satan getting summoned, like, within the first half an hour, and it actually looks kind of creepy and all this really cool stuff. So I don't know if I want to either go back and play the PS2 version or if I want to stick with the remastered version to kind of try to do the way of getting the trophies and seeing everything the game has to offer. Because sometimes, when you follow trophy list, it also helps you and kind of forces you to, see everything that there actually is in the game. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, because that's also a game with multiple endings. So maybe I'll just play it more than one way on each version if I really want to sink a lot of time into it, if I end up loving it enough. But yeah. All right, so I guess, Zach, you've already gone through all 3 of your games since there's a little bit of crossover. But Tyler, why don't you go ahead and give us your third game?
All right, biggest humiliating one right here.
Here it
I
is.
have never finished, and I played it a little bit, but I wouldn't even say I played it enough that I played it. Ocarina of Time.
What?
I have. Yep. Look at your faces.
You're
love
fired.
it. Save that one for last. All right, I'm out of here. So, yeah, I mean, it's always interested me. I mean, I like when I say I played it like when I was a kid. I remember playing around with it, but I never got far into it.
Hmm.
I never beat it. Never. I don't even think I beat a dungeon, to be honest with you. And it's not that I didn't like it. I mean, I feel like if I played it now, I would totally enjoy it and play through the whole thing. It's just I never got around to it, and it sits on my shelf because I'm a shelf collector. But yeah, yeah, go ahead, bash me. Let's hear it.
I'm not gonna bash you, but you definitely gotta fix that. That's the
Yeah,
problem. Cause
yeah.
Ocarina of Time is goated for a reason. There's been a lot of revisionist history the last couple of years. As much as I love, and used to watch a lot of, Ego Raptor, Aaron Hansen, Game Grumps, and all that. I really think he did a bit of a number on that game and his public perception of people acting like it's aged worse than it has. Because the game has held up very well. It has jank like all games do from that time, but it's absolutely a must play. It is a game where I think it'd be worth playing the N64 version and the 3DS remake, because both versions have enough differences, but also changes to atmosphere and different things to where it'd be cool for someone like you that's never experienced the game the whole way through to compare and contrast. Ocarina of Time is a very special game to me. It's the first memory I have of being alive is playing that game with my dad. So it's like my life started with Ocarina of Time in a weird way, which is kind of funny because that's just when my brain decided to become conscious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Nice.
that's that's 1000% a game you should prioritize ASAP because I've never met anyone that's played it and didn't think it was exceptional, at the worst.
Well, maybe
Um,
I'll have to play that next.
Mm.
my first
But
memory of
that
Ocarina of
so
Time. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tyler.
I'll go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say my first memory of Ocarina of Time. When I was a little kid, my mom, I think she was going to the gym. I can't really remember where she was, but she was dropping me off somewhere, some babysitter, like on site. It was some like worker that worked at this place that was watching all these kids, and they
Mm.
had an N64 in there. I remember I would play Ocarina of Time, and we never got out of like the opening forest. Is it Kokiri Forest? I think it's
Hmm.
called. We never, like I just played that all the time, and then I never owned it until I got it on the GameCube. I have the GameCube Master's Quest version of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how I've played it. I've never played the 3DS. I've never played I've never truly played the N64 version. I've played the GameCube version and Master's Quest, and
Hmm.
it's a really good game. I enjoyed it a lot.
It's super super good. It changed 3D action games forever. As far as I
Yep,
know, basically the first one to have like the lock-on
the
system
lock-on
for
system. Yep, yep.
it's like what would how would we be playing games without that today? I'm sure someone would have figured it out eventually, but wouldn't have been nearly as good as it is now. So,
Also, maybe the best like title screen ever in a game. That
mm.
opening title screen is so good.
Oh yes,
Um,
it's
with
beautiful.
like a yeah.
So Tyler, what version are you gonna play then?
I don't know. I have both. Which one would you guys say I should play first? But you said I should eventually play both. What
I
should I
think
do
it's worth it to
first?
play both. I think it'd be cool to do if I never played it before. I think it'd be really cool to be able to experience the N64 version, then the 3DS version afterwards, and because it's like the 3DS version is what we remember the N64 version looking like when we were kids. Like it
Yeah.
really is like that kind of perfect of a glow up, and like it's just so good. So I would say N64. What would you say, Zach?
Yeah, I would say N64 just to get the true experience. I guess I have a question for you, Craig. Have you played you've played the 3DS version?
Yes, I have.
Did it come out when they were still like doing 3D effects? Because I know they kind of stopped doing that
Mhm.
towards the
Yeah, that
end.
was
So
I believe that was still within the first year and a half of the
Yeah,
3DS
that was
coming
pretty
out,
early.
so very
yeah.
early on. But I can't lie, I've played like no 3DS games with the 3D on. So like
Well, yeah,
every once in a while I'd pop it on, and be like, oh, that's neat, and then I would turn it off. So
yeah. I'm trying to go back and re-experience because I just got my first 3DS. I had a 2DS for a long time. So I'm trying to go back and maybe next time I play Ocarina of Time, I'll try to get the 3DS version just so I can see what that looks like.
mhm. I will say, unrelated to Ocarina, one game that you should watch the cutscenes in 3D is Fire Emblem Awakening. They look awesome. So
Oh,
Mhm.
I need to
I like
replay
that.
that too because I've only ever played on my doorstopper flat 2DS. I've never played a. I want to see a lot. I want to go back and re-experience a lot of games in 3D, and Awakening's definitely up there too.
Awakening is a goated game. I absolutely love
So,
Awakening. So
yeah.
Awakening's my favorite Fire Emblem.
It's my second favorite. My favorite would be Path of
At the
Radiance.
Radiance.
So I love Path of Radiance.
Yeah. Awakening kind of saved the series. It's a really important game in the series.
Oh yeah, gotta
So
give credit where credit is due. All right, my last game of shame. It might not be something super to be ashamed of. I'm just personally ashamed of it because I've played almost every other entry in the series. So I would have to say any of them from Gen 2 of Pokemon I have not played. So I have not played through Soul Silver, Heart Gold, Crystal, Silver, or Gold. I have not played any of
wow,
those. So
that's that's
I was
surprising.
wondering earlier when we were talking about Pokemon, you totally did not mention Gen 2. And I
it
was
is
like,
because I
oh,
haven't played it.
I was like, wonder what Gen 2 game you played. And no, this is
Nope.
why.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so I'm a little ashamed of that just because, lifelong Pokemon fan. I've played almost all the other games except for it. I also haven't played Black and White or Black and White 2. But I feel like Gen 2 is, obviously. I feel like Gen 5 and Gen 2 are usually people's favorites. Either 2, 3, or 5 seem to be the ones. But so something about Gen 2, earlier Pokemon, just something more appealing about it to me. And I guess I leave it up to you guys. What do I play? Do
You
I
were
play
probably one of
Crystal?
those people hoping to get Let's Go Wooper and Let's Go Togepi so you
Dude,
could
I
finally,
totally was.
spend
I
Let's
two.
go.
love, dude. I adored Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and at the time I was very into Pokemon Go still, so it was awesome being able to
Yeah,
transfer, between.
this
Oh,
thing
there you
here.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that beautiful controller, dude. I played through the whole game with that controller. It was awesome.
So did I.
Um,
It
Exactly.
was really good.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, a big part of me feels like Crystal should be the one, because still has that old school. It's the older version, but the definitive version of the older versions of the game. I love the music from it. I've heard the soundtrack a million times, even if
The
I haven't
music's
Yeah,
played
great.
it.
music's so
Um,
good.
I know Cyndaquil will be my boy because, of course, he will be. But maybe Totodile. I do like
I like
Totodile
Totodile
as
a lot.
well.
Totodile.
I don't know. I feel like all the starters are good. It's just a good generation of Pokemon in terms of the actual Pokemon. But I really haven't played through much of the game. I've played. I've started it, but I've never finished it, kind of thing. So, what would you guys say? Should I do a DS remake or should I stick with Crystal? Or should I be super crazy and play just Silver or Gold instead?
I would say
Ooh,
definitely
that's
play one of the true Gen 2 ones first because like
Mm-hmm.
you'll appreciate more in the remakes if you play them.
Mm-hmm.
I've played through Silver and Gold both. I have not played through Crystal all the way. Um, Funny enough, there's a version of Crystal I have on my analog pocket. It's like someone did like a ROM hack recently that like, adds things like the running shoes and
Oh, fun.
just like little like
oh,
like
that's neat.
they didn't change the game. They just made like small changes and like made certain other Pokemon show up in certain places. And that's how I'm gonna play Crystal.
Okay.
Because yeah. So, but if you want to play the original games, I would say play Gen 2 first, not Gen
Mm-hmm.
4 versions. What do you think, Tyler?
I would agree. I would play with the original first. I mean, for me, I would just say go Crystal
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you get the best of both. And like we were saying earlier, I feel like the soundtrack in Gen 2 is really good.
It's
A
so
lot of the
good, dude.
Pokemon designs I really liked. And, it was also great how you're able to go back to Kanto. Like,
That's true.
that was
I
like
mean, it's basically two
revolutionary.
games in one kind of, right? Because
Yeah,
you basically go through the whole trial again in Kanto with all the gym leaders, right?
pretty much. Like, it's a lot shorter, but it's it's really good.
That's
Like the
cool.
fact
Yeah.
that you get to go back, do both generations, and then like when you speak about the remakes, which I feel like you should eventually do,
Hmm.
like just having like the Pokemon follow you and all that type of stuff. That's really cool and unique. And if you want to go all out, get a Pokewalker. You know, get Yellow Forest on there so you can get a Pikachu a Surf and a Pikachu a Fly and
I remember when I
uh,
was in middle school, I had a friend who when that game came out, his Pokewalker was on him 24/7. We would be, oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
there you go, Surfing
It's my
Pikachu.
my coasters of
That's
Surfing
so cool.
Pikachu.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, my friend, he used to bring the Pokewalker with him everywhere, including to school. And then when we'd be driving home on the bus, he'd be going like this the whole time. So it would be like he was getting steps in. And we'd be like, what are you doing, you nerd? And right now I'm like, man, he was the coolest kid in that
He
fucking
knew.
bus.
He knew.
He was
Yeah,
getting
I've got my Pokewalker in the closet. I need to. I've actually been meaning to. I want to try something out with it soon. So I'm going to change out the battery and try to get the thing working
That's
again.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah,
Ooh, video
Pokewalker's
idea.
There we go. Yeah, so
but,
I guess Crystal's the right answer for now. So I guess
you have it?
maybe I'll
Like, do you
start that
own it?
soon. Not physically, but I have it on my 3DS.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I have like every game that's ever been released on my 3DS. So I put like the biggest SD card possible. I've got everything loaded up on that bad boy. So
Yeah.
the 3DS, now that we could all comfortably talk about it a bit more, that the shop is done and all services are gone, it's like that 3DS is really like the greatest emulation device ever. You could literally have everything on there basically.
Yeah.
I
It's so
really want to do
nice.
the recent a couple weeks ago the Virtual Boy
Yes,
thing. I really want to try that.
it's super cool.
Is it?
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool. So I would definitely recommend. Yeah, and it's so easy to hack a 3DS. It's like unbelievably easy. So
It's
It's a
like
meme,
memes
isn't
going
it?
around
It's
though.
like
It's
yeah,
easy. Yeah.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
easy
did
to
you
do.
know it's easy to hack your 3DS? So same
yeah.
with Vita. Vita used to be difficult, but now Vita you could do it all wirelessly. It could take like less than half an hour. When I did my Vita, it took me like 4 or 5 hours, and I had so many issues I had to try to figure out. So it's getting easier and easier to mod these consoles because it's like if you want to have a really good portable PS1, PSP, PS Vita, it's like you hack your Vita, you can get all those things loaded up there. It's beautiful. And 3DS is like basically any console before N64 you can get running on there pretty well. So like including Neo Geo, you can get DS games running on there natively now. So it's like just so much cool stuff. It's definitely worth doing, especially if you want to play a lot of these older handheld games because why the hell not? Who doesn't love a nice clamshell design?
That is true.
All right, fellas. Well, I guess that kind of concludes episode 1. We have admitted our sins to you all. So if you decide to stop watching, we totally understand, but we hope that you enjoyed. Zach, got any closing comments to us? Want to say goodbye?
No, I other than just like this is a lot of fun. I can't wait to record the next episode. There's definitely more than 3 games I haven't played that I feel bad
Yes,
about, but I'm glad we
definitely.
restricted it to
Yeah.
3 because I could be here for hours talking
Oh,
about all
me
the games
too.
I need to get to. Um,
And then it's
yeah,
just
there's a
all
lot
of
of
us going, "Oh yeah, dude, you got to play that too."
yeah, yeah. That's what's fun is like I like that like every game someone played in some way. We all
Mhm.
had kind of like a connection to
A
that. So
bit of experience, yeah. So we kind of round each other out in a way, at least.
yeah, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, Tyler. Any
Yeah.
closing thoughts? Want to say goodbye?
Well, same thing. This is great to do. Looking forward to doing more. I'm glad I admitted my deepest, darkest secrets, all you all. Hopefully, I could finish it maybe sometime and then talk about it on here. Uh, yeah, that's about it. And
Yeah.
Craig, I appreciate you getting us together and starting this idea because I feel like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. I guess I should have mentioned at the top of the show. I forgot to. The show's planned to be bi-weekly. We're shooting for Mondays, so we're gonna try to stick to that the best we can. Um, if I had to pick a worse game of shame, I'm gonna have to go for Tyler and Ocarina of Time, just to throw him under the bus there.
I knew it. That's why I saved that one.
I was
There you go.
genuinely, I think, so I would say that's probably, I would agree, but I would say I was the most surprised that you have not played Gen 2 Pokemon.
Yeah,
That
Tyler.
kind of caught me
Tyler
off
looked
guard.
like
Yeah.
I just ran over his
I was
firstborn
like,
when I said
Yeah,
that.
that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, because like I said, I played but haven't finished, so I definitely need to make that a priority soon. I think
like you said, you
so.
went backwards, but then you hit a stop sign. You didn't keep going.
Pretty much. So I'll have to do that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Of course, I have our Twitter handles down below if you would like to follow us. Shoot us messages, talk to us, any of that fun stuff. Give us a follow. Daily
Send me hate
Beating, of course.
messages.
Yeah, send them hate messages. Send the hate to hate.
Yeah.
Our friend Zach over here has his own YouTube channel that you could go ahead and subscribe to and watch. If you want to catch more of this show or anything I do, you could go ahead and subscribe to this channel, of course. Tyler does not have a channel, but we'll probably start one eventually, so we'll be sure to plug
Yeah.
that once that
I got an
happens.
Instagram
There you go. But his
at Game
Instagram
Collecting
handle,
Reaper.
yes, Game Collecting Reaper. It is different than his Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Tyler is not consistent, unfortunately.
Maybe
So
I'll unify those.
there you
Maybe
go.
episode 2 you'll see Game Collecting Reaper under me rather than Tyler Hate.
It could
You
happen.
don't hate
Who
the hate.
knows? This is the Wild West right now. The learning the learning curve, and we're still figuring it out, but we're gonna have fun along the way. So thank you all for joining us on episode 1 of Generations Behind. We will see you all in a couple of weeks.
See ya.